Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO Video Addicts. Let me give you a quick preview of what I got coming up in this video. The first is a strange light that was seen by some plane passengers. Also have this footage here from Reddit that I'm pretty sure I've shown before, but some people were filming a squid and some strange craft goes flying by it. I actually have a still of this craft. There it is right there. And also this is a interview of some guy who claims to have been abducted by some I think it was like Mantis type creatures, and what happens to him. Also have this little footage here from our different clips from NASA where they talk about how, you know, we have been seeing UFOs for a very long time. And again, you know, it goes back to what I was saying, is that the number of reports that they talk about on here would indicate to me that they're not visiting. The idea that they're visiting is the powers that be that are trying to brainwash us into believing they're visiting. Now, you know, I'm pretty sure some of them are visitors, but yeah, when you watch this, just ask yourself, right? Does it make more sense that they're visiting or that they originate from this planet? Also have this little clip here from Joe Rogan, where David Grusch was on his podcast, and he talks about the different type of alien that they've encountered. And remember what I said before too, you know, they're not calling them aliens anymore or extraterrestrials. They're calling them non-human intelligence, right? Which to me indicates that, you know, that they're from here, because, you know, they're not saying that they're, you know, something from outside of our world, but that there are these non-human intelligences that are from here and have always been from here. And then last is this Daily Mail article. Retired U.S. Army colonel says secret UFO projects should be made public by October 2030 to beat America's rival and get ahead of a catastrophic leak. Remember, I think, you know, the main secret that they are trying to keep is that, yeah, that we're not alone on this planet. But anyways, if you appreciate the time and effort that I put into bringing this information to you, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video. And more importantly, please subscribe. So anyways, let's go to this first video here. Let me just back this up a little. You can see, you know, these people saw this little bright object come up from out of the clouds. And you can see that they're on a plane too.
Audio, and then I will comment on it.
Yeah, see, it looks to me like they're in a small passenger plane. But you can definitely see the cloud cover down here.
So, what do you
think? And you know,
think?
one thing about videos like this, to me, it debunks the idea that they're trying to hide themselves, right? People always say that, oh, you know, that these beings have been trying to hide themselves. But, you know, based on the number of videos that I've seen and the fact that people are seeing them every day, you know, now that we do have, you know, most people do have cell phones, cameras, video on their cell phones, and they are capturing these things. I don't think they're all, you know, again, you know, whatever these beings are, it's not one entity. They're multiple entities. Now, some of them obviously are trying to hide themselves, right? Because, you know, you see them cloaked as clouds, and the fact that some can only be seen in the infrared or the ultraviolet spectrum. But so many people happen to capture these things that, yeah, I don't believe they're all trying to hide themselves. I think, It's like, I mean, how often do people see gray whales or a blue whale, blue whale, right? The largest mammal in the oceans, right? I mean, I don't think blue whales are actively trying to hide themselves from humans, but how often have people seen it? Like I can say with 100% confidence, I have never ever seen a blue whale. But it doesn't mean that blue whales are actively or consciously trying to hide themselves. It's just that they're somewhat rare, and I'm not in a location where I would be in a position to see them. But anyways, let's go on to this clip here. Now this is from Reddit. Let me see if I thought I could make this bigger, but anyways, watch this thing. Boom, you see that thing go by? Yeah, they were filming the squid here. Oh, here we go. Let me make this thing bigger. There it goes. I think we'll see it one more time. Yep, again, that is not a fish. And you know what? In this next clip, I have a still of this thing. Yeah, here's a still of this thing. Yeah, look at that. So anyone who wants to say that this is a fast-moving fish or another squid, I don't think so. But again, this is definitely not that large, but it still seems like some type of inorganic object, right? It's not a fish, or at least I don't believe it's a fish. Not based on what I'm seeing here. It seems like some type of metallic object that's moving at a high speed. Oh, let's see. Let's go back to here it is. Let's go back to this video here. Watch this thing go zooming by. Yeah, look at that thing, right? It maintains its shape. You can clearly see it. And and again, this debunks all the people who say, that there aren't any clear images, or that all these photos of videos of objects are out of focus. Yeah, this is not something that's out of focus. You can clearly see that this is some type of metallic object. So anyways, that's that. Let's go to this one here. Let's see. Oh yeah, so now this is some guy who talks about being abducted by, I think he said praying mantis creatures. But it's only 47 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and play the whole thing.
At me this whole time. And I remember this large insect, praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Everything just felt warm, fuzzy, and just like I was in a daze. And the next thing I know is I'm able to move again. And these smaller little beings, they grab me off the table and they lead me to an adjacent room. And in that room, they hand me a small black box, and they had me open the box, and inside the box, it just exploded in light. It was like an information download watching 1,000 movies play at once at light speed. It was just memory.
Well, I wish I could get the rest of that. I just noticed this getmunch.com. I'm going to have to go there and see if the rest of this video is there. But I think it's interesting. I've always found it hard to believe that there are these mantis-like beings out there, or here, right? That, yeah, one of these non-human intelligences look like giant insects. But there's been so many reports of these beings that, I have to believe that there's some credibility there. But anyways, the link to this will also be in the description. Let's go to this one here. You know what? Like I said, this is just over 5 minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and play the whole thing. But, while this thing is playing, right, ask yourself, does it make more sense that these crafts are traveling some great distance, right, to show up here as many times as they do show up? Or is it more likely that the reason why we are seeing these things so often is because they originate from this planet? But anyways, like I said, I'm going to play the whole thing. Check this out.
Engaged in any UFO research. But NASA's own logs showed that practically all of their early Gemini and Apollo missions encountered UFOs. In 1985, NASA released UFO footage taken by their astronauts in lunar and terrestrial orbit. This film was taken by astronaut James McDivitt aboard Gemini 4. The next day, he snapped this photo of a cylindrical UFO in Earth's orbit. Despite NASA's official position, many astronauts have come forward with their own UFO encounters. James Lovell, Deke Slayton, James McDivitt, Wally Schirra, Gordon Cooper, and others have gone public with their encounters. In 1978, Gordon Cooper wrote a letter to the United Nations panel on UFOs stating that these are extraterrestrial vehicles visiting from other planets. In March 1989, the crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery may have had its own close encounter. A ham radio operator claims that he picked up the voice of the shuttle pilot, Colonel Blaha, speaking on a secret NASA channel.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under abhorrence.
NASA maintains that this is not Colonel Blaha's voice. Another space shuttle mission filmed several disks in high-altitude orbit traveling at several thousand miles per hour. Shortly thereafter, NASA began scrambling all shuttle transmissions. Despite the evidence, NASA maintains their official position and has explained these encounters as space debris or spatial anomalies. The turmoil in the 1960s diverted the public's attention away from the UFO phenomenon. Incidents like the Vietnam War and Watergate aided the government's debunking program. By the early 1970s, UFOs were no longer the topic of national interest. But despite the government's successful efforts, the sightings continued to increase in numbers. Took this picture of a metallic craft as it circled his house. In 1978, a terrified housewife in Spain snapped a picture of these UFOs while watching the sunset. This footage was taken by an Australian TV crew on December the 31st, 1978. This luminous domed craft appeared to have a rim around the center and two large portholes. It maneuvered at such an incredible speed it left this track on a single frame of film. No known conventional aircraft can fly at such speeds. In 1978, the United Nations released statistics showing that since 1947, 63,144 UFO sightings were reported. That's approximately one every 4 hours.
Now, imagine that, right? That, this broadcast is pretty old. So they're talking about a sighting every 4 hours? Is that what he said?
144 UFO sightings were reported. That's approximately one every 4 hours.
Okay, yeah, one sighting every 4 hours. Again, ask yourself, right? Do you believe that there are crafts that are visiting this planet every 4 hours? Every 4 hours? And remember, those are, just the sightings that get reported or seen. Or is it more likely that they originate from this planet? And I've asked this question before, right? If you saw your neighbor coming in and out of their house every 4 hours, right? Day in and day out, would you assume they're visiting, or would you conclude they live there? Which is why you see them coming in and out of their house every 4 hours.
Even President Jimmy Carter had his own alien encounter. While governor of Georgia, he filed this 7-page UFO report stating he spotted a glowing object hovering for 12 minutes in the skies over Georgia. The report was personally signed by Carter himself. This dome-shaped craft was filmed by a television crew from New Zealand in January 2nd, 1979. We can clearly see the craft from the top. The disc appears to be rotating while emitting a blue glow. An identical craft was photographed in 1952 by a Brazilian journalist in Rio de Janeiro. Here we see the dome is visible from two angles and the side is surrounded by large portholes. In 1991, this footage made worldwide headlines. These two discs were videotaped in a suburban neighborhood just outside Ottawa, Canada. Both UFOs landed in what appears to be a prearranged site. This footage became known as the Guardian sighting. In 1991, eyewitnesses screamed as a photographer took this picture off Manhattan Island as a disc emerged from the river and flew off. This craft was photographed rising out of the water in Australia as it docked with a smaller dark object. This UFO was spotted in Denver, Colorado, as witnesses watched from a neighbor's backyard. In the mid-1990s, startled eyewitnesses filmed these craft as they hovered silently in the night skies. In the months following, similar craft were videotaped on 3 different continents. It was rare that sightings like these gained much national attention. One of the least known aspects of the UFO phenomenon may be the most chilling. With today's sophisticated computer technology and special effects, it's possible to fake a picture or alter video. But this modern technology hasn't always existed. We've uncovered startling new evidence that suggests that mankind has been visited since the beginning of recorded history. This is the oldest known picture of a UFO sighting.
Yeah, and also remember, that there are cave paintings, petroglyphs, of saucer-shaped craft and of beings that, we would today call the gray beings. Cave paintings, right? So obviously, right, if the people drew them in caves, it's because they saw them. They weren't, a figment of their imagination. So, yeah, and that there are also writings, documents that are written in Greek and Latin of soldiers seeing luminous objects in the sky. So it's obvious that that we've been seeing them for, over 5,000 years. And, I don't know how far back these petroglyphs go, maybe 30,000 years, I think. I'm not too sure about that. But, yeah, they've been here a long time, and we've been seeing them and recording them and talking about them for a long time. But anyways, let's go to this clip here from the Joe Rogan program. Let me just play a little bit of this.
When it comes to these, I'm going to bring it back to these actual entities.
Yeah.
Do we know, or would you have an understanding of how many of them we're talking about and the variety of them?
Well, yeah, there is a variety, and we have a certain number of different things. But the total numbers of what's interacting with us on Earth, nobody knows that. And
But there's an understanding of some that they do believe are interacting with us, and there's a variety in terms of there's variables.
Yeah, I talked to people who are familiar with the biological analysis and everything. So we have some idea, not a complete picture, because it's you're looking at it, it's I don't even understand the physiology at all. It's what the heck? It's way different, right? So we have at least
a description of this physiology.
Yeah, no, I was in the room when gotta be careful. I don't want to. I was in Washington D.C. with a very number of senior people that work for members of Congress. Put it that way. When I was still in government, and I brought the people who worked on that stuff to the Hill. This is why the members were so confident to put out the Schumer amendment and stuff. And I was like, please explain. And they went into all those details and stuff. And I remember, some of the professional staff members were like, whoa, like they were in G-lock, right? Because
he actually never. Yeah, he wasn't able to answer that question. But, I watched this whole interview. If you have Spotify, go ahead and, check out Joe Rogan's channel on Spotify and watch the whole interview. It's pretty interesting. But one thing that I noticed is how he would not say that they're from here, although it was pretty obvious to me that he is aware of that fact. But Rogan does ask where they're from, and he kind of parses his words very carefully. but still, this whole idea of brainwashing us into believing they're visiting continues, and I think that's the biggest secret that they don't want us to know yet. Because it's according to him, there is a certain timeline that they're supposed to follow. In fact, it's not just him. It's again based on this article here, how they're talking about certain information to be made public by 2030, which is like 7 years away. So I think they are preparing us. But I've said this before. You don't have to. I mean, come on. You don't have to wait for the government to come to your own conclusions. There is so much information out there, and all you have to do is use or apply critical thinking, use deductive reasoning, and just plain old common sense, and you should be able to come to your own conclusions. Now, granted, I realize that there are some people who are just complete sheep brains, who are so institutionalized that that they have to have a government or a father figure or whatever you want to call it, someone in a position of leadership to tell them what's okay to think. But those of us who can think for ourselves should be able to come to your own conclusions. But anyways, let me read some of the stuff that's in here. Oh, let's see, what did I want to talk about here? Oh yeah, in a later slide, Colonel Neal projected his strategic hope that so-called disclosure on the UAP issue would be complete by October 1st, 2030, although he admitted his timeline targets were at risk of falling behind. The Seoul Foundation's lofty goal, as described by the now famous UFO whistleblower and U.S. Air Force veteran David Grusch, was to open ourselves to a future where truth, unity, technological advancements, and a deeper understanding of our existence converge. Let us advocate for transparency, not for ourselves, Gross told the assembled attendees, but for the generations to come as we embark on a journey towards a more enlightened and interconnected world. Yeah, so they're definitely preparing for ourselves. And again, I don't understand how people, still think that, disclosure is going to be an event. Okay, disclosure is a process that, even according to the people who are involved in disclosure, it is a process. It is an ongoing process. And, there's never going to be a day where the president or whoever is going to come out and say, or make a public announcement and say, we're not alone. Because think about it, right? People like David Grusch, Gary Nolan, right? Lou Elizondo, they've all already come out and said it, right? That we're not alone. The military has released video footage of crafts. So it's obvious we're not alone. And, if you're one of these people who needs, a leader to tell you that we're not alone, you have to seriously look in the mirror and just admit to yourself that you are an institutionalized sheep. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for making it to the end. And as I said before, if you appreciate the time and effort that I put into bringing this information to you, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video. And more importantly, please subscribe. I'll have more things like this. Until next time, take care.